Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarium. I'm Jerry Schubel, president of the Aquarium, and it's great to see all of you here this evening. I welcome all of you also who are watching online. For those of you in the theater, if you would silence your cell phones and refrain from texting or tweeting for the next hour, we would appreciate it. And I want to acknowledge our sponsors that make this lecture series possible, Gazette Newspapers and Courtyard Marriott downtown. Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome back Dr. William Cooper. He's going to discuss butterflies of Iguazú Falls, Argentina. May remember that his last lecture here was about water in California, water in the nation, and water globally. Dr. Cooper is a retired professor of civil and environmental engineering at UC Irvine, and he was the director of the Urban Water Research Center for that university. He previously served as a professor of chemistry and the director of Drinking Water Research Center at Florida International University, and he was chair and professor of chemistry at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. And he was the program director of environmental engineering at the National Science Foundation. In 2011, he was elected as a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and in 2014, he was elected fellow of the Association of Environmental Engineers and Science Professors. Bill's been very helpful to us in developing the story for our expansion, particularly the water component of that, and we even spent a couple of hours this afternoon working on that story. He published a book of his butterfly photography, The Butterflies of Iguazú Falls, Argentina, and has had several photographic exhibitions, most recently at the National Science Foundation in Arlington, Virginia. He's in the process of making his butterfly photos and videos from Argentina into a documentary film, and we're hoping that he will come back and show that film here. He's a member of the Entomological Society of Washington and the Maryland Entomological Society. It's a real pleasure to welcome Dr. William Bugsy Cooper. Please join.
That's the first time I've been called that. So one thing I want to point out here is that old nature photographers never die, they just lose their focus. And I think I made that up. I haven't ever seen that one, but I thought that was pretty apropos for this. So the first question is, how on earth did you get down to Iguazú Falls to photograph butterflies? Well, in 1983, I was invited to go to Buenos Aires to give some talks on alternative energies, which of course I knew nothing about, but being a professor, you just have to dance and learn a little bit. So I talked about wind power, and I talked about solar power, and then I also talked about some work that we were doing using grasses and stuff to reuse wastewater. And somebody at the Universidad de Misiones heard us, and they said, hey, we want to fly you up to Posadas so you would give a lecture, and I did, and then we drank mate. So if you ever go to Argentina and you get invited to drink mate with friends, you know that you're accepted into the group. After that, my graduate student, who was an Argentine, said, Bill, we got to go to Iguazú Falls. And I said, that's fine with me. I have no idea what that is. So we went out to Iguazú Falls, and it's one of the largest, it's in the middle of one of the largest tropical forests, preserves in South America. And as I was walking along, I put my hand on the railing, and this butterfly here, 88, landed on my hand, and I said, oh my God, I've got to come back here to do butterfly photography. That was in 1983. It took me 25 years to get back there. I went back for the first time in 2008. I was there for 5 days. I took 5,600 photographs of 99 species of butterflies, and it was just unbelievable. So I've since been back 4 more times, so in total I've probably spent about two months down there photographing butterflies. I have now 27,000 photographs and videos of these butterflies. So the day always starts, what I do is I go up on the roof of the Sheraton And you can see this is the falls here, and this is early in the morning, and you can see the vapors coming up here. And then what I do is, it's always interesting. Nobody can, I can hardly believe it, but in this photograph you can see this is just a video of a bunch of butterflies. There's 6 or 7 species altogether. It's tough to see with that light down there. But there's I think 6 or 7. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number 7 is going to make an appearance here. Oh no, I guess that's number 7. And then this one here. This is the kind of thing that you see. It makes it almost impossible to take photographs because you get so excited about seeing all these butterflies that it is actually quite difficult. But the reason everybody else goes there are the falls. You can just turn the sound up just a little bit here to give them an idea of what it sounds like. And you'll hear these in some of the different photographs. This right here is Brazil. Right here is Brazil, and this is Argentina. So we're on the Brazilian and Argentine side. I stay on the Argentine side because I need a visa to get into Brazil. So I have been to Brazil, but I'm not down there. Okay, let's get into the butterflies. So butterflies, there's 6 families of butterflies, and we're going to go family by family as we go through. And you'll see that you'll find just about every color of the rainbow in these butterflies. So the Nymphalidae are the first ones. This is called the southern snout. That's the common name. And we actually have, it's the same genus and species that we have in the United States. In fact, the first time I ever saw that particular butterfly, or that species, not that particular butterfly, was actually in York, Pennsylvania. So, and this is the southern snout, but we have the snout butterfly. And they call it a snout because these protrusions out of its head. You've got the antennae here, the 6 legs, the 4 wings, the hind wings, but it's the same genus and species. This is a subspecies here, Carnetta, and the one in the United States is just the Carnetta. So it's interesting that this one particular butterfly is all the way down in Argentina. So where I am at Iguazú is about 24 degrees south, which is about as far north as Miami is from the equator. Miami is at 24 degrees north. So we're in semi-tropical. And just to set the scene, when you're doing these, when I'm down there, it's typically 95 degrees and 95% humidity. So if you like warm weather and pretty humid atmospheres, this is a good place to go in December and January. This particular butterfly is amazing. And this is what's known as feeding on an enriched surface. An enriched surface in this case is poo. Whoops, I popped it ahead, sorry. This right here is actually, I don't know what it is. I know that it's poo, but I don't know where it came from. But he's very happy eating off of this, what we call an enriched surface. And actually, you can see this butterfly when you're looking right at him. And he came back. I would go there on my way to other places, and he was there for 3 days, and I would scare him away, and he'd come back. But you can see here, it's absolutely gorgeous, this blue. And I was able to at one time actually get a picture from the movie of this, but I don't have it here. Another butterfly, which is pretty spectacular. This butterfly almost cost me a bath because it was right on the side of the river, and the river's not that small. But the falls is a long way down, so I could have gotten out before I went through the falls. But this was a precarious butterfly for me to take a picture of. Now I want you to count the number of butterflies in this picture. I'll give you a hint. It's about 14. So you want to see the 14 butterflies. I can help you out here because we don't have. I promised Jerry that I wouldn't go over 5 hours tonight. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Did I tell you that one? 12? Top left? How about this one? It's not a leaf. It's actually a butterfly. It's called the leaf-wing butterfly. And so this deserves some explanation. When leaves and wood rot, they have what's known as white rot fungus. So this butterfly has actually imitated its wing to show you the vein of the leaf, where an insect has actually bitten through the leaf. You can see right through its wings. And this is where a caterpillar is eating the leaf here. And that's white rot fungus. It's not really white rot fungus. It's the scales of the butterfly. But it's so well camouflaged that you would walk right by that in real life and never even see that butterfly. I was very lucky. What I do when I get them up my finger, I usually just lick my finger, and then I very gently put my finger under their body, and then they'll start licking the saliva off of my finger, and then I just hold them up like this, and I have my camera like this. And sometimes the best photographs I've gotten of a butterfly is when it's right on my finger. But I think this butterfly is so unbelievable because it really does look like a leaf. And you think about the evolution involved in this. And this butterfly will convince you that evolution is right because it's survival of the fittest. What ecological niche does this thing fill? That's the one question you ask yourself. And how on earth does it evolve to have this bite out of it from a caterpillar? Here, where you can see right through the wing, you can see the green right behind there. Actually, it's clear right through the wing. And then even to put white rot fungus on its wing. It's amazing. And there's some other examples of the white rot fungus later. So this guy, I go on another place called the Makuku Trail, which is about 4.5 kilometers. And I was walking out, and I was coming to this sunlight area, like this, actually. And all of a sudden, this blue butterfly came flying down. I said, what the heck's going on? And of course, I tried to take a photograph of it, and by the time I got my camera ready, it had flown away. And I'm looking around, because I'm here right in the jungle, and I'm looking around, and I couldn't for the life of me see him. I took my hat off, and there he was sitting right on the rim of my hat. And why would he be called a blue leaf, right? That's why. Because this was another year in another spot, and I saw this one land, and I said, oh my God, I literally ran up here and took a picture. This is very difficult to see, but it's an unbelievably beautiful blue iridescence, and that's the top of it, and that's why it's called the blue leaf butterfly, because it has those blue iridescent scales on it. And remember, on a butterfly's wing, all of the color, it's not all color, but all of the wing is covered by scales like a fish, okay? And you think about this caterpillar. Well, I'm not going to stop too long. We're going to hopefully have a video on the blue morpho so you can see that I've had a special request. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures, I think, of the genus Doxocopa. Okay, and this is the Melita. So here you've got the Melita here in the front, and you've got an Adelpha back here. So I've now retired from Irvine. I'm actually living in northern Florida, very close to Gainesville. And in Gainesville, they have a very, very good butterfly group, and the guy that is the expert in the world of the genus Adelpha, which is this guy here, actually works down there, Keith Wilmot. And so I hope to get some work done over there at some point. So this is a Doxocopa vacuna, and you can see this is the male, and this is the female. And we all know that the males are always prettier than the females, right? Oh, and I don't know why. I have no explanation for that whatsoever, but it's interesting because if I didn't, and I meant to bring my book, but I think I left it in my backpack up there. This is the female. If you saw this butterfly and that butterfly and you didn't have a good book like I had, you would never have guessed that this is the female of that particular male there. And I always like to show this just to show the brilliance of the purple, or it says turquoise, but it's not really turquoise. It's more purplish, I think. But it's an unbelievably beautiful butterfly. And again, one of the things that my butterfly friends at Irvine said when I was showing these, they collect butterflies, but they never really get to see the proboscis. So this proboscis comes out of its mouth. They don't have any mouth parts, so they have to use water or suck something up. So obviously, this particular butterfly here is sucking something off of this handrail. And I'll show you a case later of how they might get some of the nutrients from a handrail into their body. They don't require a lot, but they do require certain things like sodium for their cells, their nerve cells and stuff. This Doxocopa, when this thing flies around you, I mean, you just can't help but follow it. I mean, it is absolutely magnificent. And when it gets into a different position, look at this. You've got this color here, and then you've got this blue. I'm not sure, but my guess is that this blue is due to nanoparticles on the surface of the wing refracting, not reflecting, but refracting just like a prism does. And so they end up, and it is absolutely spectacular. Now, I would love to be able to go back down there and collect some of these. I have a friend that would do the scanning electron microscopy of this to see what the actual scales are. The problem is this is a national park, so you're not allowed to catch any of these things. So I honestly would never, ever think about catching one, even though I probably wouldn't be caught. I would never do that because national parks are too critical to, I think, our planet's existence to actually start to do things that you shouldn't there. This is another one called, this is a Doxocopa zanilda, and you can see, it's pretty difficult here to see, but this actually is purple here, and when the butterfly folds its wings up like this, the color actually goes away, which indicates to me that, again, that's probably a case of these scales actually refracting the light. So it's not what we call an organic color, which is actually an organic chemical that it makes. It's actually just the scales that it puts on its wings to actually refract the light, and in this case, it refracts it and makes it look purple. And this is the underside of it on my finger. Just to give you an idea of the size, this is the size of my finger right here. So you can see that butterfly is not really huge. It looks big there on the screen, but it's not that big a butterfly. This is a really, really pretty butterfly. That's the underside, that's the upper side, and then here it is on my finger. And you can see that what it's done here is that really makes it look like this is an eye. And the idea there is that when the bird comes to feed on it, this will actually attract the bird before the real head. And then the bird eats this, and it only gets just a little bit of wing, but the butterfly can fly away and still survive. And you'll see when we get down to a whole other group of butterflies we call hair streaks, that they've taken that to an extreme. This butterfly is really beautiful. I actually have this blown up to a 4 feet by 8 feet picture. At home, I have 80 photographs of these that are 3 feet by 4 feet. And Jerry mentioned that I had an exhibit at the National Science Foundation. One half of one of the floors was nothing but butterfly photographs. And my friends in the Division of Environmental Biology would come down there when they got stressed out, and they would just walk along into the butterfly palladium down there in the 3rd floor of NSF. It was absolutely wonderful. And I would have people email me that had no idea who I was, but they'd seen these butterfly photographs, and they would then find my email, and they would send me an email. It was really fun. That's the bottom. This is the top. And now I think this is it. Okay. So you can see this is moisture right in here. See that moisture right there? So what he's trying to do is come on back here. He's trying to get that moisture that's got ions in it, which he needs for his metabolism. See how he's using his antennae right there? That antennae came down, and that's their sensors. That's how they find out where that is. It's really clever. I think I've got some other pictures of that phenomenon. This is a Bloomfield beauty, and that's the bottom. That's the bottom. This is the upper side, and it's just let me go back here. I mean, that is an unbelievably intricate butterfly. Think about this. It has an egg, and then it goes through 5 instars, and that is, it goes from a teeny little caterpillar to a bigger caterpillar 5 times. It sheds its skin. It keeps growing and eating. The caterpillars eat leaves, and then it makes a chrysalis, and it emerges with all that. These are just scales, just like fish scales. These are just scales on here. Can you imagine how on earth that happens? I have no idea, but that's a very, very active area of science looking at how metamorphosis occurs. That is, the caterpillar comes in the adult butterfly comes out. So you see, here's again, he's looking for something to eat there, and obviously there's enough for him to get. There's enough liquid there, although it looks like it's pretty dry, that he's getting something out of it. See how it uses its antennae? Those are the sensors. That's it's our fingers, if you will. Now we're going to get into the Adelpha. I think I have 7 different species of Adelphas, and that's one. This is the Mithra. Now, it looks like these things are not trivial to identify. I mean, I took the first 5 days I was there, I took 99 species in 5 days, and it took me about 10 days to identify them all. So I have a very good book, but I have found about 20 butterflies that I've photographed that aren't in the book. But Jerry mentioned that I'm a member of the Entomological Society of Washington, and because I gave this talk at the Smithsonian, I actually got access to the butterfly collection in the Smithsonian, which is about 5 million specimens. And I was actually able to identify 10 or 20 of the butterflies by going through the collection. And the way I can identify these guys, this is the Mithra, is the difference in the underside. So then, knowing that, I try to always get the upper side and the underside of the butterfly. So this is the Abia, it's Adelpha. And so this is what it really looks like when I'm there. So I'm there clicking all the time, trying to get a picture of this guy. You know, right now, click, 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 and hopefully one will be in really good, a good exposure. So this is the Falcipennis. That's the underside. So you can see there are subtle differences on the underside. There are subtle differences on the top too. And I'm not really a lepidopterist. I'm actually a chemist. So it takes me a lot longer to identify these things than it would somebody that really knew what they were doing. And here's the Indefecta Guyoma. This is a really pretty butterfly. I didn't really capture the beauty right in here, but this is a really intricate, and also even here it's such that the butterfly or a bird might actually think that this is the head instead of up here, and it would end up getting just a little bit of the wing, and the butterfly would actually live to breed and continue. Here's your Goyoma. I put this one in just to let you know, this was actually this is the first, when I was down there in 1983. This gives you an idea of depth of field. So before the butterfly, it's out of focus. After the butterfly, it's out of focus. And you've got a depth of field that, in fact, is only about this big. That's when I was using a 200 millimeter telephoto with an extender on it. Now I've got a 100 macro, and I can get a lot more depth of field, which makes it a lot easier to get a butterfly in good focus. So now we're going to go to the Hamadryas. I have 4 different Hamadryas. That's the genus is Hamadryas. And these are called cracker butterflies because when they fly, you actually crack their wings, and you can hear them. And this is you talk about an intricate design. And the interesting thing is the underside of this is gray, and you can tell, you see the little fruit or whatever that is, he's sucking the juices off of that. Now you see, there it is right there, and you can see it's gray. So now the epinone is gray, the amphinone is red, the fornax is yellow, and then we have the Hamadryas arete, which is an unbelievably beautiful butterfly, and it's actually black on the underside. I want to do it again and watch this. Look, looks like a porcupine, doesn't it?
How big is that butterfly?
It's about this big. Did you ask this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about this big. And it's, I mean, one of the guys because I'm one of the few crazy guys that walks around with 20 pounds on your back when it's 95 degrees. So all the guys, the guides know me and stuff. And one of the guides actually says, Bill, he says, I saw this picture, or I saw this butterfly, and he had a picture of this, and I thought, oh my God, I'd love to be able to see that. The next day I actually saw it. And this is, we had gray, red, and yellow, and then this one is actually black on the underside. This is really interesting. I will never, ever forget this. This butterfly was coming up the path, and I said, oh my God, you got to slow down, because I got to take a picture of it. Then when I got a picture of it, I couldn't seem to get the bloody thing in focus. And then I realized the reason I couldn't focus is because of this bleeding red. This red around these yellow spots makes it very difficult for your eye to focus on that thing. Turns out it's actually in pretty good focus. What it doesn't know is that there's a big ant coming up here. I took that out of here, but I actually filmed an ant killing a butterfly, taking the wings off, and then taking the butterfly's body, and that happens to be a female. This size ant, these are all females, and so they actually will kill a butterfly. It was a littler butterfly than this. Took the wings off, and then it grabbed the body, and here I am walking like this in the jungle. Forgot my mosquito repellent that day, so I had 50,000 mosquitoes around my head, and I'm trying to follow this ant into towards its nest. I didn't get there, but I did get some mosquito bites. So this is one again, actually very close to where that Hamadryas arete was. And this is another Catanophyllae. When I go down to Costa Rica, we actually. So I'm going to be doing some more work in Costa Rica. I was there for 2 months, 2 weeks in May, and I'm going to be going for 2 months. And they actually raised this particular species of Catanophyllae down there. And this is another Catanophyllae. This one I found on the Macucu Trail, and you can see the difference is basically it doesn't have spots, but it's got this long orange. It's the same genus in different species. So here's a Chente Iocho. I've already told you about the story about 88 there, and that's the bottom, and that's the top of 88. And now this butterfly is actually pretty small. It's only about that big. So it's actually a pretty small butterfly. Now this is where Big Brother's checking out the little guy. So the Big Brother happens to be a Hamadryas. Whoops. And so this is the Big Brother checking out little 88 there. They watch out for each other, which is very nice. So this is 80. This is the number 80. And I am so frustrated with that butterfly. He's flying around. Where's he land? He lands right on my leg, right here. And I didn't really want to take a picture of the butterfly on my leg, but he wouldn't land. I wanted to land on something green. He never did. So I just ended up taking this picture. But you see he's got 80 there. So they're clever. They're up to their 80s. So they're in 4th grade, right? So this is a bunch of butterflies on a rock. This, and what I've got is I call it 80 with friends. These are a whole bunch. This is a snout butterfly right here. And you'll see these guys later. But apparently within this rock formation there was some moisture, and they were actually all in there feeding. So this is a Calicore paraguazoo. And again, I think you can, I'm not sure if this one's going to lower its antennae. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we got at least 200 slides to get through, and then we've got a little video for you too. And I had 400, but I know Jerry is really strict on the amount of time he gives me. So look at the little boots on this guy, and you can see where it's moist here. Yeah, so this is the unbelievable butterfly. They call it zigzag for a good reason, zigzag. That's the common name. But this picture just doesn't do it. It's unbelievable. Right in here, it's this gorgeous purple, and then you got the red and the black, and then these yellow tips. And when it flies in, I mean, you think, holy mackerel, that's a butterfly. And then I was very lucky to get him to now look at him using his antenna to sense where the moisture is. And you can see there's people up here. There's some people there, because right down here, I purposely turned the sound off because there's a waterfall right there. It's deafening, actually. This is a medium para, and so these are not difficult at all to identify because I've got good photographs in my book. Now this is an interesting the dynamine. So we're now in the genus dynamine, and here we've got the first one, which is called the white drop. Then this is another picture, and another picture of the white drop. So it's absolutely black and white on the top. And then we've got the edged drop, and what that means is there's an edge here. It's where it didn't have it in the other one. And this is another one, and in this distinguishing feature here is this line on the hind wing right here. So you have the forewing and the hind wing, and this is the underside of the hind wing. And when it opens up, look at that. It has this beautiful blue iridescence. Again, I'm 100% sure, which you probably should never be as a scientist, but I'm 99+% sure that this is just nanoparticles that are refracting that light and showing the blue there. And it's just unbelievable that you see him like this, then he opens his wings, happens to be maybe another butterfly, but he opens his wings and there this just blue just pops out at you. So this one, the distinguishing features, instead of having a line down here, it's got it right through the middle of the body, and it's called the blind drop, and I'll show you why, because there's some drops with eyes here in a minute. Now, I'm not going to let this run too long, but just to give you an idea, there were 5 of them here, and you can see I'm hand-holding this video. You really should never hand-hold a video camera. I have a tripod, but I can't always get the tripod up in time for the butterflies. They don't stand still for me. No matter how much I yell at them, they just... Kind of like some of the students in the audience. You can yell at them all the time, and they still run around, right, guys and gals? We've got a whole bunch of students in here, so I told them they've got to get some good questions for us at the end. So this is an eye-spotted drop, and you can see the 2 eyes right here. And again, it's got that bluish, blackish on the top. And this is a drop with glasses. You can see this guy's actually got glasses. And then the next one, that's a drop. Oh, watch this. This guy says, man, life is rough. That stupid fly. Pooh. Finally, the fly comes and he says, oh, the heck with it, I'm going. Time for tea. So this is a drop with glasses. We're eating lunch together. That's right on the handle of the white chair that I was eating lunch on. So when he gets down, then I just actually put my camera on him and take some pictures. And this is the drop with a monocle. A monocle being, he has one eye here. So there's a whole bunch of these are all dynamines. It's all genus dynamine. And you can see there with my finger, you can get an idea of how big that butterfly is. It's not very big at all, because that's my finger right there. So you see that butterfly is not all that big. It's maybe at most this big. Sometimes when I start doing the photography and I go back, I'm amazed how small some of these butterflies are, because I'm used to seeing them close up and on my thing, and I think, geez, is that really that small? It is. So here's another. This is a pink lady here. I think it's in the genus Vanessa. And again, you can see it's like it's fun in the park and on the rock. So they're just, all of these butterflies are coming and going and stuff. It's just like mass hysteria. This is a picture that I took the first time I was down there, and that's actually the picture on the cover of my book, the Poropaita. And that's what it looks like when it's actually, when you look down, it opens up. It's just that beautiful black and white, very plain, but actually beautiful colors. This is a blunt, and there he is. These things, for some reason or other, because, of course, now remember, it's 95 and 95 down there, so my pants are sweating. In fact, when I get done, when I get done at 5 o'clock, if I've been out since 7, my pants and my shirt are actually soaked with sweat. And I drank enough Coke, so I still put on weight. So I stopped drinking Coke. So you can see this guy here probing the rocks here. This is the blunt. He's probing the rocks with the proboscis. So the proboscis is just like an elephant's trunk, okay? And that's how they get the nutrients that in this rock or wherever they are. They might be on a rotten log. They could be on an enriched surface. But that's how they get nutrients into their body. So this is a Nicoflavia. And this one I had a hard time identifying in my book because the picture in the book was so horrible. It didn't look anything like this beautiful yellow butterfly. So I had a lot of lunches and I had a lot of friends for lunch. So this one was always also eating lunch with me. So this is just a white plastic chair that I was sitting on and eating my lunch. And then because you're sweating and you have your hands on the handrail here, they know that there's nutrients there. So they'll come along and just start there and try to get these nutrients. And nutrients to them are a little bit different than to us. They don't have a mouth, so they just basically get everything they can. Like, for example, if they're in a flower, they'll get the sugar. If they're here, they'll get the sodium and ions that are in my sweat or whoever's sweat was there. And this is just so it's difficult to see what it would look like, but it looks like this. It looks like the common white butterfly that we see around here, the cabbage butterfly, which was imported from Europe, actually. So this is the Mario, and we're going to see this, and then so this is a Marpesia, is the genus, and this is also a leaf wing-like butterfly. So when these butterflies get really mad at each other, they go at it with their weapons. See, so you've got this guy over here firing his two cannons against this guy firing his cannons back, but of course they're not really cannons, and they're not really mad, but it makes a good story, right? So this is what it looks like on the bottom. So you can imagine this butterfly landing on a stick, and you would not have any idea that it's not just a dead leaf here. It looks just exactly like a dead leaf. So that's also that leaf wing. The next one is this. Oh no, that's okay. So yes, there's four of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these Marios. And you can see what the problem is here and why when they do things in television, they always film things inside under controlled light because there's clouds going over here and the light changes a lot. So for me, I don't really care. I accept that, and I don't want to have to take all these butterflies inside to get perfect light. This is the ruddy dagger wing. When we were kids, the ruddy dagger wing was pictured on the book that we had, and I was from upstate, am from upstate New York. I didn't realize this was a subtropical butterfly. So you can find these actually down in the Miami area, but we looked everywhere where we were living for one of these things and of course never found it. But this looks a lot like the Mario. This is the Marpesia petrius. And when it closes its wings, you see it just literally disappears. You can see it right here. But even here it could look like a leaf. This is the Vanessa, that's the banded lady. We have the painted lady, Eastern painted lady, where I do a lot of my photography up in Pennsylvania. And I don't know if this is going to be no. Oh, here we go. So this is her. The difference between this one, this down in Iguazú and out where we are, this has got a lot more red in the wing than ours do. Ours are more of an orangish color. But that butterfly was really cantankerous. It never did really sit still for me to get some good photographs. This is another one, this Leith. Every time I go down there, I keep thinking I don't have any decent photographs of this thing, so I take another 50 or 60 photographs. And so I've accumulated a lot of photographs of this. This is it on my finger. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than the other ones. That's probably 1.5 inches from tip to tip. And this is what it looks like when it flows. So you see right there, I mean, you talk about camouflage. If it didn't open its wings, you would never see that there. I mean, if you got a photograph, you'd see it. But if you're just walking by, you would never even see that butterfly. This is the red princess, and this is a beautiful butterfly, and I kept getting frustrated because it had all these black lines, and I thought they were actually imperfections, but it turns out that's part of the butterfly's camouflage, is to have these lines in here. And I realized that I had a perfect specimen, but it didn't look like it was perfect because it had actually done a lot to camouflage the red. That picture was taken at 6:45 in the morning, right behind the hotel that I was in. I was walking out the back door, and it was right there in the leaves. So this is what it looks like on the underside. And again, it's a pretty spectacular butterfly, actually. So one year, I don't remember what year it was, I flew up from Buenos Aires. So you come into the international airport in Buenos Aires, you then get a cab over to the national airport, and from the national airport, you just fly up to Iguazú, and it's another hour and 20 minutes north of Buenos Aires, so 250 miles or so. And it was pouring, absolutely pouring, and I got out to the hotel, and it stopped. So I went down the walk, and darned if this thing wasn't right there. I mean, this is a male peacock butterfly, like our buckeyes, but you can see this beautiful blue here. And I was telling you how the males are always prettier than the females. So that's the male, and this is the female. I mean, so, see, the guys are really got it. So far, we're 2-1, right? Or 2 for 2. Although you have to say, that's a pretty spectacular butterfly right there. That was a female. And I remember right where I took that picture, it was out in the middle of the field across the sidewalk from where I had the other one. It was a different day, but that actually is a really pretty butterfly. This malachite, I've seen it so I taught at Florida International University for 17 and a half years, from 1980 to 1997. So we were way down in Miami, and this malachite actually, we saw that on campus sometimes. And you can get an idea, that's a little bit bigger a butterfly. In fact, the picture in the one that Linda put is the malachite on my finger. That's this one right here. In this picture, when you blow it up, I have this picture at 3 feet by 4 feet. So it's 3 feet this way and 4 feet that way. And it really is spectacular. That green on that butterfly is just unbelievable. And you can't help but, when you're photographing these things, you can't help but wonder why. What is this? Oh, sugar. You can't, why does it have this little ripple down here? What significance does that play? Why does it have that? How did it evolve? But obviously it gives it some sort of survival of the fittest. And it does it, but that is absolutely spectacular. So now we're going to take a water break. This is the little choo-choo train that takes you from the train station down close to where everybody stays, and it goes all the way out. I don't know exactly how long it is. I think in terms of kilometers down there, I think it's about 2 kilometers, a little over a mile. But he goes all the way out there, and at the end, all the way down here, is that you get off, and then you can walk out to the Devil's Throat, the big portion, and I'll show you a picture of that in a second. So this is the Devil's Throat. And this is Brazil over here. So this river right here so you see that's Brazil there, and you can't really see Argentina, it's over here. But they've actually got a walk that you can get out there. I wouldn't want to take my camera out there. And so for me, this is my enemy. I mean, when you got, $20,000 or $30,000 of photographic equipment on your back, the last thing you want to do is be running around a waterfall. But it is very impressive, I can tell you that. And so the interesting thing about Iguazú, it's the largest waterfalls in the Western Hemisphere. It's 1.6 kilometers in length, but only 100 meters in depth. Oh my God. We've got to get going here. We're still in the Nymphalidae. So I'm just going to show you some pictures, and this is always interesting because, oh no, I didn't show you the other one. Okay, sorry. So you see, this guy is really moving back and forth, and to try to get a photograph, a still, of that's almost impossible, but that's the problem that I face. Oh, this is the one I think Yeah, this one was on that particular branch, and the wind was blowing, and this thing was blowing back and forth, and I just had to take probably 100 photographs just to get one that was halfway decent. That's the underside of that butterfly. Oh, there it goes. So that's what you're really looking at. Yep, and then you just get ready and it flies away. Small brown here. Okay. So you see in the background, you can actually hear one of the electric carts carrying people jump on rubber rafts up, and then they raft down, and then they grab them and take them back up, and that thing in the background. So this is the long wings here, and I'm going to keep going because I've taken way too long. This is the falcerata, and so this is the falcerata when it's with its wings up and stuff like that. It's a heliconiid, or it looks like a heliconiid with those long, slender leaves. It's not a particularly fast flyer. This is the Julia. We have these in southern Florida. It's actually a spectacular butterfly. This is the dark Juno. When it actually puts its wings up, this reminds me of a butterfly known as the Gulf fritillary, because it has these same colors on the bottom of the wing, and that's your dark Juno there. And this is the little Julia, or small Julia, and you can see on this leaf here, it's not a very big butterfly. It's about that big. So, okay, we've got to get going here. Okay, so now what I would do, now that I know how to do this, I would take this out, I would clip off the beginning so you would only see it in focus, then you'd think I was a really good photographer, but in fact I'm not. Sometimes it goes in and out of focus. Of course, that's with my old camera too. My new camera would be actually easier. But some of these butterflies don't want to stand still, so you just have to get them. It's much more fun to get them actually when they're flapping like that. This is the morpho, and I chase this bugger all around, and what's he do? He lands right on my leg. So he was right here on my leg, and then he finally flew away. But you can see, I mean, you know what he's doing, because I'm sweating like a madman in here. So, and you can see that as he starts to spread his wings, you can see the blue on the upper side of the wing. And here I tried to take a picture of him, and I finally just gave up. They don't fly that fast, but they're just so erratic. My camera was really mad at me too. So here he is, finally settled down. That's the underside of that particular morpho. Okay, so these are some woodland species that you find in the recesses in dark places, but they're really pretty spectacular in some respects. This guy, the elf, is not spectacular. I'm wondering if we ended up picking up the wrong one, because I thought I'd gotten rid of a lot of these photographs. So we may have 400 slides here. But we're not going to go through all of them, because I want to show you the life cycle of a blue morpho. So this little guy, the first time I saw him was in the Makuku Trail, and it was in the dark jungle, and I couldn't get a decent photograph of him, but then he came out next to the railroad train, and so I could get a good picture of him. So I call this the sad face. Doesn't that look like a sad face to you? And this is what you're looking at. This is early in the morning. This is probably around 7 o'clock in the morning, which now there's a building where this was taken, which is frustrating. This guy, when it flies, it looks like it's got two little yellow headlights. The antennae there serve as the headlights. This is a clear wing, and they're really, really hard to find and to photograph, but you can see right through the wing right here. So this is Episcata. So this is Maclugia, and you can see right there's the white flower it's on. You can see right through the wings. That's tough to actually get that. Yeah, I was just going to say, that's a tough one to focus. Yeah. And there's our monarch. So they even have monarchs down there. And these guys, I don't think, I do not know where I've asked people down there, they have no idea where they migrate to, but I doubt that they go up to Mexico. They've probably got some, if they do, like the northern monarchs. So again, this is the largest falls on the Argentine side, and you see you've got a whole bunch of black vultures up there just waiting for me to die. So if I die, they're going to pick me apart pretty quick. Nobody's going to find me. This is a cicada. Could you turn up the volume a little bit on this one? Watch him. He's moving. He says, okay, here we go. Can you hear it? It's called shaking his booty. Okay. So this picture, a friend of mine said, you know, Bill, if you just turn that over, that would make a perfect bow tie. So we've been trying to figure out how we could make a bow tie out of that. This picture, this butterfly was not in my book, but I have a book on the butterflies of Costa Rica by Phil DeFries, and I found it in there that I think it's the same one. This is that unbelievably, the Aleutian. This butterfly, the first time I saw it, I thought I was going to go crazy. I mean, look at the colors on that thing, and it is absolutely magnificent. And that's him flying away. So then here's another clear wing. See, you can see right through the wing right here. And again, you see it picks up this red, which would be, the idea there would be for it so it would attract the bird, and it would end up just eating the tail, and the head actually, and the rest of the body would survive. Look at this. There's another fly right under his wing right there. So here's a little theory, a little series of I think that is, anyway, I'm not sure, of where we've got this black butterfly with a yellow stripe. This is called the small round. This is there's no name for this one, but you see it's actually a little bit different. This has got like a dog leg for those of you who play golf, you see there's a dog leg to the left and a dog leg to the right. This guy's got straight lines all the way through. And this is the sky blue lines. I had no idea what this butterfly was, and luckily I just happened to look down and it says sky blue lines, and you can see the sky blue lines right here. It's absolutely magnificent. And this is the little long tail. This is the one, Susanna, that Alex, your son, said that should be on the cover of my next book if I do another book. I probably won't, but I found out that I'm really good at giving away the book, but very bad at selling it. So this is the Hovey, and look at the little eyes on this guy. Those are two little like green eyes, and they just stare out at you. And this is the top side. The bottom side. There's the top, bottom. And then this is the splashy Hovey, and the only difference is it has two white dots right here on the underwing. I think could you see if you could advance that back there? I'm stuck. Oh, no, there we go. I got it. This little guy is no more than an inch from tip to tip, but absolutely spectacular. And this guy looks like doesn't it look like they took spray paint and just spray painted him right over there? Now just think about this. These are all scales, just like on a fish. And I don't know what, these are scales as well, but then all of this is just one big pattern. And you've got to remember, it starts as an egg, it goes through a whole bunch of caterpillars, and then it emerges as an adult butterfly. And you can see it's not a very big one, but it is really spectacular. So this is one of two here. This is the light brown one, and this is the red one. And so this is the other dancer that's got the black with the yellow lines. And this is the fourth one of the series. All black or brown butterflies with yellow stripes. I don't know exactly what that means, but you can see that's not very big because this is just a blade of grass here. Not grass in the ground, but it's no more than that big, that long. So now we're going to go to, these are the hair streaks. So you see, the real head is up here, but it looks like the head is here with antennae here. So that's actually pretty good camouflage. And you can see it the same here. You can actually see its head right here. And then this is another one, Arachis. And here we've got another one. Here's the antennae here with a little bit of blue here and the actual head down here. This one was a really difficult one to take pictures of, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's got this brown and these iridescent blue lines that go through it, and then the hair streaks are over on that side. And here's another one. You can see the little blue on the upper side of that wing looking through. So this is one of the smallest. This is the Cassius blue. This is a tiny little thing, and when it's sitting there, you can see this is what it looks like from the underside, and you can see these eyes here are really iridescent. It's a beautiful little butterfly, but it's really, really small. Because this is a small plant right there. Oh boy, here now we've got the sulfur butterflies. This is the little devil. So they come in every shape and size and color that you can imagine. This is the same butterfly, but it looks like it's getting ready to launch itself, doesn't it? So when I actually had my butterfly exhibit, I had this guy sitting there and then this guy sitting there. People couldn't believe that they were the same butterfly because it just looks so different. Oh, I do have the wrong thing. We picked the wrong slide. This is an ant hunting, and you can see while he's hunting. And I'm not going to do death on the Makuku Trail because that takes too long. But this is it. That's the fight between the ant and that it goes on for quite some time. But the ant's grabbing onto this butterfly. He eventually takes the wings off. Now, Mom, it's all just a circle of life. Everybody's got to eat, right? So this is a female ant. I was told, I didn't know these ants, but you don't want to. They got really nasty. You see. Got nasty pincers right there, and just taking the wings off. And now here it is. That's me trying to keep it in focus, walking through the jungle as it's taking the body back to the nest. Presumably then she'll lay eggs in there, and the eggs will hatch and eat the inside of and that's all that was left. So had I been there, 10 minutes earlier or 10 minutes later, I would have not ever seen this thing. And that was the day that I forgot my mosquito spray of all days. So this is a pretty spectacular butterfly right here, this yellow skipper. So this is what these swallowtails look like. I'm going to kind of go fast because I really do want to give you the blue morpho. This guy was early in the morning feeding on an enriched surface, commonly known as bird poo. And there's a bird in the background, kiskadee, kiskadee. Hear it, kiskadee, kiskadee. My constant companion. I'm going to just kind of keep going through these. This one I took at about 6:45 on my walk. I was walking up to the Makuku Trail. It doesn't open till 8, so I usually stop along the way to try to get some photographs. And I saw this thing land. I ran up to it, got 3 pictures, and it took off and never saw another one like it. It's a hammock skipper. So this butterfly, you have to be very careful. You do not want to tell him that it's ugly. He doesn't know that. Even though, it's really pretty simple and plain, he doesn't want to know that. This one I actually have in my backyard in Florida, this Urbanus proteus. It's a beautiful, beautiful long-tailed skipper. I'm hoping here in a second to show you an example. I don't know if any of you know, this is another one that you don't want to tell him is ugly, but it is ugly. This guy gets a relief on the ugliness because he's got a white stripe of line there. Okay, so down in Orange County, you know that we actually take wastewater and make it into drinking water at the Orange County Water District. we then have to re-inject it into the water because the public health people haven't caught up to the 21st century, so they won't let us use it for direct potable reuse. But it's really good water. But if you're a butterfly, and you know for sure that there's ions in here that you need, how would you get that? Well, watch this right here. You pee, you dissolve the ions, and then you suck them up. It's called toilet to tap. It works. I mean, if it's good for butterflies, it's got to be good for us, right? See, am I serious? Of course I'm serious. In another life, I was known as the water boy at UCI, so I have to be. Yeah, so actually, we could go on and on and on. Oh, watch this. Watch. Phew! Let's do that one again. Choo! I have no idea how I got that. I mean, it's just one of these things that, one thing that you learn as a nature photographer is patience is a virtue. And so I'm going to keep going here pretty quick because these are just a whole bunch of ugly skippers. So I do have a really interesting story with this guy. I had no idea what this was. It was not in my book. So when I was in the Smithsonian, so you can imagine 5 million specimens, right? So they've got these tall cupboards that they have drawers, and in those drawers are maybe 20 or 30 or 40 different butterflies. So I thought maybe I knew what the genus, turns out I didn't, but I thought I knew what the genus of this was. And so I'm in this one row, and I'm down here looking at these drawers, and they're nothing like the one that I have there. And I just said, well, I wonder what's up here. And I pulled this drawer out, and I look on it, and I said, oh, my God, that's my butterfly. It looked exactly like this one, exactly like it. So I showed one of the guys, and he said, yep, that's it. So that's how I got this name, Milianan leucospis. No, that's wrong. That's the wrong name. I've got the wrong slideshow, but it's actually, I do know the actual genus and species of this one. Now, this is one of the more spectacular pictures of a skipper that I've got, I think, with the background. I'm going to go pretty quick here because we'll show you. Sometime when we get here at 3 in the afternoon, then we can go through the whole thing. This is always fun because it just shows you that there's a deer there. That's a deer footprint right there. When I was walking along this road, the rangers got to all know me because they were doing something down there, and they said, hey, did you see that lion track up there? And I said, yeah, I did. I said, but I didn't know what it was. So the night before, there had actually been a cougar walking along this same trail. Now, this is the guy that really gets his feelings hurt if you tell him he's ugly. But we won't tell him that. I want to get going. We've got to get out of here in like 15 minutes. So wouldn't you know, I actually had this whole thing down to only 200 slides, but I picked the wrong one when I told the guys to load up this one. See, these are all different skippers, some of which I know that there's an enriched surface right there on the leaf. Hey, you guys, can we tune up the life cycle of the blue morpho, and then we'll call this quits for now, and then we'll see the life cycle of the blue morpho. Let's see what happens here. We didn't try. So this is the result of, this is one of the little videos that I am going to make out of that 2-week trip I did to Costa Rica last year. When I go down this year, I'm hoping to get life cycles of 10 or 12 of the different butterflies. Okay, so this is, okay. I think I just stopped it. Okay, I don't have a control. So this is the blue morpho butterfly of Costa Rica, genus Morpho pallades. And this is at the...
and they belong to the order Lepidoptera.
Oh, could you turn up the volume a little bit?
The morpho butterfly is in the family Nymphalidae. Butterflies have 4 stages in their life cycle. The first is an egg. The second is the larva or the caterpillar. The third is the chrysalis. and the fourth is the adult. Of particular interest to scientists is the chrysalis stage, because that's where cell components from the larvae are broken down biochemically and then reformed as the adult butterfly. That process is known as metamorphosis, and it is under great deal of study in the scientific area. To begin, the butterflies mate, and this is where the eggs are fertilized. After mating, the female flies away and finds a food plant which is satisfactory for the caterpillars to grow on. She lays eggs that are approximately 2 millimeters in diameter, and the ones on the leaf here are, the transparent ones are fertilized and the darker color ones are not fertilized. It
So
takes about 5 days
Those big
for the
blue morphos
caterpillars
start
to
with
actually
an egg
hatch.
just like that.
And when they hatch, the first thing they eat is the egg casing itself. That provides the necessary nutrients and energy for them to go out and start to get food from the leaves. The caterpillars that first emerge are called first instar. There are 5 instars altogether, but the first instar is the ones that come out of the egg, and after they've eaten, they're about 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter in length. You
Most
can
of
see
them
in the
need a haircut.
picture that these little first instar larvae are quite interesting to look at. The second instar larvae are a little bit bigger. They can be, at the end of their stage, about 20 millimeters. You can see the one caterpillar here in the bottom actually eating the plant. And I put this in purposely so you can get a feeling for even these little caterpillars can eat very effectively, and you can see the rest of that leaf has been, or other parts of that leaf have been eaten earlier by the 3 of these caterpillars. And if you just watch, you can see that it actually eats quite effectively. And in fact, caterpillars, that's all they do is eat. They eat leaves and then they molt. When I refer to molting, I refer to going from one instar to another instar. Caterpillars have what are known as exoskeletons, and when they eat and exceed the capacity of that exoskeleton for their body, they molt or go into the next instar. Here's an example of the third instar. It's about 43 millimeters at this point. That means that from the second to the third instar, they've grown almost twice in length, and you can see they are actually quite a bit wider or fatter in the body as well. The fourth instar is up to 75 millimeters, and I chose this particular caterpillar because in a minute you're going to see it eating on the end of the leaf, and it gives you a better visualization of the head and how it actually eats. You'll see that the head will go perpendicular to the leaf, and then the mouth parts will actually consume the leaf. It's a rather interesting process, and one that is very, very efficient. Here you can see the caterpillar actually eating the leaf. It has to turn its head perpendicular to the edge of the leaf so that it can chew. As they eat and grow, I mentioned they have exoskeletons. They actually outgrow their skin, and so that the end of each instar, they have to attach to some firm surface, in likely a leaf or a stick that they can find, and that's how they can then leave their old skin behind, and one from underneath becomes the next instar. It's soft and malleable to start with, and as they grow, they eventually grow out of that body and have to get rid of that exoskeleton as well. This is the fifth instar, and you can see that it's wandering around quite a bit. I believe that's because it has actually finished the first phase and is looking now at which time it will turn green and then eventually form the chrysalis. And here's an example of the second phase, or the green phase, of the fifth instar morpho caterpillar. And you can see that it is absolutely totally green. And then what will happen is it will stay in this position, and the exoskeleton will eventually be shed, and what will emerge from that is the chrysalis. And here's a picture of the chrysalis that is formed from that caterpillar.
And from that little chrysalis comes the big, beautiful blue
The
morpho.
chrysalis, as you can see, is about 30 millimeters long, and it's very distinctive. You can see this is a chrysalis that's been around for about maybe 10 days or so, and it's ready to start emerging. I've chosen this particular chrysalis to show you how it comes out of, how the adult butterfly comes out of the chrysalis, how it breaks the chrysalis and then actually will come out. And I'll complete that with the other chrysalis. But you can see this much better than you could with the other chrysalis. You can see that it's split up the middle and then along the sides, and it will continue to push out of that chrysalis. This is a process that takes, really in terms of time, not very long. It's about maybe 1 to 3 minutes, depending on it depends on the butterfly actually. But here you can see that it is starting to push that chrysalis apart, and you will see eventually where the abdomen. So insects have got three different body parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The abdomen is the one that's in the back, and it's the abdomen that you can see here is within the chrysalis right now, and you'll see it there. It's being detached now, and it's starting to come out. It's actually, you can see it's rather fat, and it's full of fluid, and you'll see in a minute how they get rid of that fluid. They also use that same fluid to pump up their wings, which is the next important aspect of this emergence. Here it comes. Okay, so now it's the adult butterfly, and you can see the orange fluid coming out of its abdomen, and that orange fluid is what is left over from the biochemical remaking of the butterfly from the caterpillar. You can see the antennae are out, and in this case the butterfly is having some problems with its proboscis. You can see it right now. It's coming out of its mouth. The proboscis is a long straw like a trunk of an elephant, and it's made up of 2 different parts. And these parts have gotten a bit confused here. And so it will, as it pumps up its wings, it will actually finally get its proboscis settled. So how do these wings get pumped up? The fluid in the body of the butterfly here is pumped through a series of tubes, if you will. We call them veins, and you can see them on the wing here. And they pump that up, and as they pump that fluid in there, the wings expand. And then later on, the fluids actually will polymerize and make a very hard crystalline substance that gives a strength to the wings. Remember, the wings are what the butterfly uses to fly with, so they can't be very malleable. They have to be very hard. So what they do is they pump that bodily fluid into their veins. It then polymerizes, much the same as it would if we were making a plastic, but this is not a plastic. It's actually a natural polymer, and then it crystallizes, and we have then the wings totally expanded. I've included this picture of a second morpho coming out of the chrysalis, because the one that's already out on this particular gets rather irritated with that second one, and you'll see he's flapping his wings. And the idea there was I really wanted you to be able to see the blue for the blue morpho. It's really a spectacular butterfly. And you can see that the one that's flapping is not at all happy with that other one that's coming out of the chrysalis. Unfortunately, one of the morphos, when it came out, fell on the ground, and you can see here, and the reason I put this photograph in is because I wanted to show you what this beautiful, beautiful butterfly looks like on this dark brown and wet background. I actually rescued this butterfly by letting it climb up onto my finger, and then I put it up in upstairs above where it's fallen, and then it was able to continue to solidify the veins, and it would eventually flew away. This is the butterfly house that we have at the Perella Butterfly Garden, and this is used for several purposes. This is where we release the butterflies where they mate, and then we take the females to another enclosure for them to actually lay their eggs on the food plant. But this is also used for visitors that come to see the butterfly garden, so they can see close up all these beautiful butterflies. And you can see all the blue morphos flying around in this particular time. I wanted to mention that at the Perella Butterfly Garden, we not only raise the blue morpho, but we raise 14 other species of butterflies. And in future videos, I hope to get life cycles of many of those, much as I have here for the blue morpho. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video, and I have my email here on the screen. If you're interested in getting in touch with me, I'd be happy to discuss any additional details. For now, goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, I think that concludes it for tonight. Sorry. I ran over a little bit. I apologize for that.
It was excellent, Bill. So we have time for just a few questions. Who has the first one? All right, way in the back. You got it? Thank you.
How long does it take for a caterpillar to molt its exoskeleton?
Oh, okay. So basically what happens is that when let's say at any particular stage, when the caterpillar has gotten as large as it can for whatever stage it is, it actually fixates with its silk up onto a leaf or something, and then that molt takes about, never actually timed it, but we're talking about 6 hours or something like that. But then when it comes out, of course, it's very vulnerable. And so we have all of this inside a tent so the birds don't come down and wasps come down and stuff like that. But it's 6 to 10 hours is about what it would take.
Bob?
I noticed when they're in that larval stage, they're very efficient mouth eaters.
So they very are,
Yeah,
extremely
but when they become a mature butterfly, they only have the proboscis. They don't have
That's
a
right.
mouth function.
That's right. So you see, all they do when they're caterpillars is to eat and poo. We raised a lot of big moths, and you could hear it coming out. But yeah, that's absolutely true. So all of the cellular, the whole cellular being is all done as a caterpillar. So it goes in there, biochemically it gets decomposed, and then biochemically it gets reassembled into the adult. And then as an adult, of course, they've got muscles and stuff, so they need to get, and nerves, so they need to get ions and stuff, and a little bit of carbon, which is where they get it generally when they're through like a flower or something like that.
Okay, we have several more back here, so nice short answers.
What's the reason the wings have different colors? The top is a lot brighter than the bottom.
Yes.
Why is the top so bright?
Well, that's a good question. I know the bottom is not bright so that they can actually hide. The reason, but why the top is so bright, I don't know. But I know why it's bright, and that's because of nanoparticles. That's not actually a blue color. It's not an organic chemical that is blue. It's just these nanoparticles that are refracting the light and make it blue. But I don't know why the top is so brilliant like that. It could be to actually scare predators away.
I was wondering if you've seen any sort of shifts in the historical range of the temperate species with climate change?
Good question. I haven't. I know others have. there's a species, a genus known as Lamenitis, which is red admiral, or red spotted purple in the white banded purple. And the white banded purple is the northern, and the red spotted is the southern. And I think they are seeing that white banded purple go further into Canada. And it's just a matter of time before they do. We've obviously seen it in beetles. If you look out in the Rocky Mountains, the reason we're losing all of our pine trees out there is because this pine beetle is migrated with climate change. So it's slow, but it's happening.
We have one here, and then Francis, you'll have the last one.
I was wondering what size area you found did you find all of those species of butterflies in a very small area, mileage-wise?
Well,
and are there any
yeah.
other areas in the world like that?
Oh, yes. Well, this is a 5-acre farm that William built. In 1997, it was just a pasture. And he planted these trees, and they've all grown up to be a rainforest. So he raises 15 different species. They're all native to that area, but there's many, many more species. I think there's about 800 species of butterflies in Costa Rica altogether. So this is totally artificial as far as that's concerned. Oh, Iguazú Falls. I'm sorry, Iguazú Falls. Yeah. So the park says that there's 254 species of butterflies, but I've already seen about 10 or 20 that aren't in the book, so I know that's not a solid. But there are other places in South America. If you go from the poles to the equator, typically your biodiversity will go like this. As you go to the equator, you're going to get more and more species. So.
I had two things. I want to thank you. Your lecture is phenomenal. Human beings have not the same fingerprint. So have you studied butterflies from the same mother to see if they have distinct differences or are they exactly alike? My second question is, how did you choose the butterfly that you did? Because they're all so phenomenally beautiful for the front of your book. Thank you.
So they're all good questions. The easiest one is why I chose the blue morpho. There's two iconic species that we associate with Costa Rica, the blue morpho butterfly and the red-eyed frog. Okay, and I have both. The red-eyed frog I have in another documentary that I'm working on. But so that was what was the first question? Oh, yeah, about the variations from. It's unbelievable how little variation there are in butterflies from the same mother, for example, or in other mothers. I mean, you can see these blue morphos anywhere from Costa Rica all the way down into the Amazon, and they look almost identical. And that in and of itself is an amazing feature of these butterflies. If you think about it, it starts out as just an egg. It then goes into this caterpillar, and then it goes through metamorphosis, and it emerges. And out of that 32 millimeter chrysalis, we got a butterfly that typically from the shoulder to the end of the forewing is 70 millimeters, 7 centimeters. It's just unbelievable. But no, there's remarkably little variation. Now, you will find variation, but not so much that you can't identify it. That's a good question. Thank you.
All right, before we thank Bill, the next lecture is November the 13th. Scott Nichols is going to be talking about innovations in aquaculture. And if you're wondering how we're ever going to feed an additional 2 to 2.5 billion people before the end of this century, a lot of it's going to have to come from farming the sea in responsible ways. So join us then. Bill, great lecture. Thank you very much. We always love having you here.
One thing we won't be doing is eating many butterflies. There's just not much nutrients in there, so we can just observe them and enjoy them. Thank you very, very much.
Okay.